Good afternoon, good evening, all. Thanks for taking your time to join us. We are here with Oren. Um, why don't you introduce yourself, Oren, for the viewers?
Sure. Thank you, Varun. So nice to meet you. I'm Oren. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Superwise. I come with almost 20 years of background in the AI industry, leading the AI Competency Center at Intel globally, and then actually providing professional data science services for dozens of different companies, from small startups to enterprises. Then I decided to found Superwise with the mission to provide model observability as a service to any company with high-scale AI activity. Such companies that use Superwise are companies like Activision, Monday.com, Klarna, all of the companies that really want to keep on delivering amazing disruptive AI, but to do so while they are still in full control and governance of their shiny new AI-driven business flow.
That's great. That's really amazing. Um, and also, I think from our side, I think probably to provide a bit of an overview and the reason why we're doing this. So, webinars are a way for us to convey what we're doing as part of the platform and also in general as a business. And it's much more interactive in that way to kind of communicate our business products as well as the goals of the company, what we're doing and why we're doing it. So on our side, I'm Varun, currently leading the marketplace for NayaOne platform. Um, as part of it, my responsibility and the role is to, look at different technologies and understand them, how they could be relevant for financial institutions and enterprise clients currently using the NayaOne platform. Just to kickstart our conversation, so right now, generative AI is pretty much the hot topic. Be it institutions, financial institutions, or regulators, or enterprises broadly, everyone's exploring them and doing various kinds of experimentation as well as pilots and POCs. So why don't we start with maybe if you can tell a bit more about the company and the kind of customers that you're currently working with, and do you see any generative AI use cases with the industry? That'd be great.
Sure. So as I said, we at Superwise provide model observability as a service, meaning that basically we are vertical agnostic. We work with any company that is incorporated AI into their core business operation and provide them a layer of monitoring or observability. I mentioned few of the names, companies like Monday.com, Activision, a big gaming company, Klarna, and others. But while we are totally vertical agnostic, we do see that the financial sector is a very advanced one with the use of AI, which means that we see a lot of opportunities in the financial sector. For example, we work with an online payment company that offer a post-purchase payment process. Now, their payment process really rely on AI to detect fraudulent payments in real time. So if they do detect a fraudulent transaction, they will deny that
Mm.
transaction from even being to occur at all. Now, without proper monitoring, without supervise, if their models suffer from any kind of issue, whether it's drift, data integrity in their data pipelines, or any kind of issue in their pipelines, their traditional software monitoring tools will show them that everything is green, everything is working from a functional perspective. But actually, the decisions are quite bad, and they will start to see degraded performance of their entire business. Now, without supervised, normally they will detect such issues only weeks or even months after the model started to drift or misbehave, because
Yeah,
that's the time that it will take them, to really start and receive high chargeback rates. But with supervised, we reduce those weeks or months to a matter of hours from detecting the issue, analyzing it, and leading it to resolution.
that's really interesting. And also, I think just being reminded of the use cases that we see in generative AI as well, like responsible model development is very crucial for financial services industry, and having these different metrics that are being tracked, monitored. I think that's where observability platform becomes more and more relevant. To the end user, what kind of use cases do you typically see? Let's say if you're taking generative AI and model observability enables them to like build responsible AI models, and depending on jurisdiction, there could be a different set of requirements. So in this space, do you see any specific use cases that could be more common, more relevant?
Yeah, so I will divide the answer into two parts. I think, first of all, any kind of generative AI is, first of all, another type of AI, meaning that any type of generative AI application still need to be measured or monitored like any other AI application, even for the classical things like data quality and drift. For
Mm.
example, if you're using a foundation model that was, and most of them are mainly optimized for the English language,
Yeah.
but you still want to work globally, meaning that you still want to monitor the language that is being used because you don't want to experience any kind of drift regarding the language distribution. If people start and really use AI, that specific application more in countries that do not use English, you do expect to see degradation in performance. Now, we Superwise help to detect those type of issues as we actually developed an amazing open source package called Elementa. That package now to connect to the prompts that your application provide and extend it and extend a lot of automatic meta features, things like language, things like sentiment, or even more complex stuff like profanity, and then to connect it to Superwise to monitor that to detect drift or other issues. Now,
Mhm.
that's, I think, more on the classical side of what does it mean to monitor AI.
Yeah.
More specifically on the generative AI stuff, we do see two very typical, I would call challenges. From our side, it's opportunities. One is how to measure or to evaluate the success of the model, like the performance of the model. It's not a very strict structured use case, right? Everything around generative AI is around unstructured conversation. So
Yeah.
Superwise, we do provide as part of our product and the open source that I've mentioned, a lot of tools to measure those unstructured communications, like detecting hallucinations, measuring the conversation length, or detecting even user frustration from the conversation. So one thing is evaluating the process. That's a very typical use case or a challenge that we see where companies use generative AI. The other
Yeah.
one is guardrail. We see a lot of companies that want to fine tune those amazing capabilities on top of their organizational knowledge or data, but they cannot use off the shelf solutions like OpenAI or other hosted solutions because they cannot take data outside.
Yeah.
Now, there are all kind of decent open source alternatives to use instead of it. But actually, when you are leaving OpenAI to some open source alternative, it also means that you're not guarded anymore with all the guardrails that OpenAI developed for you. Meaning
Mm.
you still need somebody to do those guardrails for you. You want to make sure that nobody's, creating some kind of a misbehavior of the model, creating it to say things that you don't want it to say, or to help you to do things that we will consider as bad things.
Yeah.
So measuring and evaluating the process and providing that guardrail governance layer, those are very two typical challenges that we see for companies that started to use generative AI.
That's spot on, I'd say. And I think very recently there was a case where some open source model got deployed on Hugging Face, where they injected very specific bad data, fake data, or something of that sort. So that's a challenge, I think. And interestingly, foundational model development is also like one of the big use cases with financial services, right? They have these huge troves of proprietary data, and they can train custom models on top. Um, that's very relevant. Yeah.
So that led me to ask you, like, from your perspective, working with so many financial companies,
Yeah.
how does NayaOne help generative AI experimentation and collaboration? And how do you see that value proposition being consumed by your customers and users?
Yeah. So on our side, I think since now we have more than 400 different financial technology providers who are, have like various sets of data and also like different models, be it credit decisioning or loan processing or even on fraud side. So various use cases are, within these different segments that use AI in general. And on top, I think generative AI kind of brings this better experience in terms of like synthesizing or getting that decisioning data, relevant data that's good for them to process or progress into those use cases. I think that's kind of where a lot of the focus is, like how can we better our customer experience, be it internal or external end users, and make it as seamless as possible. And that's primarily, as you can see, like a lot of conversational AI use cases and also technologies are currently being in development and also like progressing. The other one, I think, very much in like very core fintech use case, I'd say, is on, sorry, just one sec. Yeah, very core fintech use case is very much around fraud and compliance. So there are a lot of rules and workflows that usually get created as part of enterprise setup or institution, and having like a very easier way to like process all these types of data and also set the rules with much ease and flow. I think that's going to be very important as well. So a lot of our clients are exploring like both the customer experience side use cases as well as the internal ones related to compliance or fraud. So I think that's where a lot of innovation is still to be like come about. And yeah, let's see where that'll go.
Definitely. By the way, it's super interesting to see that, like, you from NayaOne and myself from Superwise, from two different perspectives, we see similar use cases. As you said, like, we see the same, a lot of use cases in the financial industries around fraud detection, or even just to create a better, more elevated user experience. Again, I've said that we are working with gaming companies and other opportunities that really embed AI to improve their native user experience. And more specifically, do you see any kind of trends or innovation that you see in the US and the UK market for generative AI use cases? Do you see anything that is more specific in those specific markets, or specific trends that you detect among the conversations that you do in the market?
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of like touching on the earlier points as well, like, broadly speaking, you got insurers who are, looking at two different kinds of use cases with underwriting, for example, like how can we improve the processes there? And also like creating different troves of data that could be processed and much faster, and also like provide the interface for the clients or the end users to derive the most out of either be policy documents or any other reports, for example. And on the core banking or fintech enterprise, I think the use cases are pretty much already there. Like, for example, with Stripe, I think recently they released another AI related use case around like how can we, build different rules for the fraud detection engine, for example. And then you got conversational AI, which kind of provides like relevant information based on the queries of the customers. So I think customer experience, again, very much on that front, like we on the platform have also like enabled these kind of workflows where they can experiment with two, three different technologies together. Say you got a model foundational model, and on top you got a vector database, and then around it you can create like a model observability layer as well. So different sandboxes can be deployed and are being deployed in these relevant use cases that we're currently discussing. So it's really exciting and very much, looking forward to how these institutions and enterprises would go on the innovation front. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds super exciting, and I can't wait to see where it will go. And specifically, I think I heard about a recent, very exciting partnership that you've done with Valley Bank. Now, I'm sure that's a super exciting opportunity for you to expand into the US market. But beside of the excitement and the opportunity, what does it really mean for you as an organization? What does it mean to you on, what adjustment or what type of opportunities does it open to you?
Thanks for asking that. And yeah, we are very excited about that particular partnership with Valley Bank. So again, like as new and new technologies come into existence or into the market, enterprises and institutions need to have like a very safe space where they can actually see how the technology could be a good fit for them. And having a platform such as our digital sandbox would be very helpful. And Valley Bank is this particular partnership is proving that. So we're very excited about that. And also, like in the US, like the innovation is always evolving and changing, and the regulations as well. So in order to like combine both of them together and see how we can actually be responsibly innovating is a challenge. And yeah, our platform very much addresses that. So we're very excited about that partnership, and yeah, looking forward to see how that goes.
Yeah, definitely regulation is like a big part of what will drive innovation and the tooling that are needed around any kind of AI that is being done. There's a lot of regulation going on in Europe, but in the States, they are really quite advanced in it already. So sounds exciting that you partnered with them to help them to deliver that.
Thanks, Oren, for taking your time to talk to me today on generative AI and model observability. Um, yeah, very much looking forward to what we'll be achieving down the line. And for all the viewers, thanks for watching us and listening to us, and hope you find this useful. And if you want to reach out to Oren, we can. What's the best channel to reach out to you, Oren?
So you could just email me or in a supervise or ping me in LinkedIn. I'm usually quite responsive, so happy to chat and talk on any ML AI related stuff.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Um, have a good day.
Thank you.
Cool.